got Porzingis, you got Holiday, you got Derek White, you got literally, I would say what, 5 guys can get you 20 points in a game?
I know people will say it's, only one guy. I don't believe that, Coach, that, one guy, those days are over, in my opinion. Like, a Bill Russell, a Wilt Chamberlain.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Garrett Cole's getting ready to come back too. I guess this, look, they've played great without him, but you're not going to say to Garrett Cole, look, don't come back. I mean, it's a ridiculous conversation to have.
They're not going to take any unnecessary chances. And look, they're at the point where they have a lead. They certainly are going to make the playoffs, I would say, barring some sort of complete collapse. And that's all it takes.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
8 playoff games at home for Boston in Beantown. They are 6-2 straight up.
The wild card, I would say, in this game is not necessarily, well, what are we going to get out of Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Brown, and certainly Tatum. It is Kristaps Porzingis to me, because we're not getting back a player that's like, hey, rotational guy. Like, remember when Derek Lively went down with the injury? He was playing well, but a young player, like a piece.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
What do you say? Little game time decisions on a Monday night. Kevin Walsh with you here on SportsGrid with the NBA Finals, game number 5, main eventing tonight's card. The Boston Celtics with an opportunity to win their first title since they did on the same date many, many years ago with Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Rondo leading the charge. The Mavericks trying to force this series back to their building for what would be a Game 6 on Thursday. The Stanley Cup Final, we will see that series resume tomorrow as we never get NBA, NHL head-to-head. So we will certainly be picking up the pieces for the Stanley Cup there in just a little bit. We've also got a full Major League Baseball card, which is great to see. A lot of 640 baseball, which also at 640 will feature my MLB Player of the Day. Why not put that on the board? There's a few other picks that we are going to make for the baseball slate. But Bryce Harper for an RBI at plus 115 is a clear-cut MLB Player of the Day. Batting third with Trey Turner back in the fold, Randy Vasquez has been destroyed by left-handed batters this season, and Bryce has been good enough against righties. That 275 batting average will take. Double-digit home runs against right-handed pitching could very well be key in this game. Kyle Schwarber in the leadoff hole, that's a lefty. So you've got a really, really nice spot here tonight, I believe, for this Philadelphia Phillies group. And I think the Trey Turner inclusion is a big help there at a plus price. By the way, 9.5 total, nearly minus 200 favorite. Phillies tonight are going to score around what? Let's call it between 4 and 6 runs. Not going to be, if it's 3 is about the floor, if we're being realistic. 7, 8, 9, it could be a monster game for the Phils. This team returns home for the first time in some time. All right, they went to London, then Fenway, then Baltimore. And they're coming off of 2 losses to Baltimore. They're coming off of consecutive series losses to American League East teams. So I really like the spot here tonight for the Phillies. I will say it is a great, I think their money line is a great parlay piece. I'll tell you one right now. Phil's money line, Luka Doncic double-double. Let's talk some NBA Finals for the people here. And that Luka double-double is actually something that I've considered playing tonight. I actually considered it as a best bet. It is down now from minus 170, minus 165. I was considering it. It's at minus 160 now. Luka Doncic has just 2 stretches all year where he went 3 or more games without a double-double, one back early January and another back in middle November. Luka has gone consecutive games for the first time all playoffs without a double-double. And that now, some of that is that fouling out? Is that the blowout? It's a little bit yes, a little bit no. But Luka Doncic has been very timely in his triple-doubles. Luka, and it's very wonderful, his ability to hit that triple-double when the books have completely given up on it has been absolutely brilliant. The first 3 games against OKC, no triple-double. Boom, he closed that series with 3 straight triple-doubles. You take a look at what we saw from Luka with the triple-double in game number 2. Coming off of a 1-assist game, they jumped that thing up to 5-1. Boom, triple-double. Now here tonight, same story because of consecutive games without a double-double. I think Luka for a triple-double tonight is a great piece of action, but it makes the double-double then a really nice bet. But I'm not on the double-double yet. Again, I think a nice parlay piece with the Phils. Triple-double, I'll likely make that wager for a little bit of coin. But I'm betting Luka Doncic at even money to lead this game in assists in what I think is just a fabulous price. It is at minus 105 on FanDuel. That is where I bet it at even money. But for a point of reference, that same wager over on DraftKings is minus 180. So right off the bat, we know that we're beating the number. But here's the other deal. Luka Doncic on FanDuel to lead this series in total assists is priced at minus 155. Luka is currently not the assist leader. He trails Tatum by 2. So if they think that Luka at minus 155, what is at minimum going to be able to beat Tatum by 2, well, Tatum is the next closest assist prop player to Luka. His 7.5, which is a dropping number for the Don. Tatum's is at 5.5, which is still a very strong number for JT. Everybody else is 3 back or longer. And you have a premium Doncic bounce back spot. I'm well aware that Luka, game assist leader, has not been some type of free money in this series. But it is still a bet. That's why the timing of this is perfect here. An even price for Luka Doncic, who's now gone 2 consecutive games without double-digit assists. But more than that, consecutive games without 8 or more assists. The only time that happened in this postseason were games 2 and 3 against Oklahoma City, and he followed that up with 10 dimes in game 4, which is, again, why I think that triple-double is very much on the board and why the double-double price is light. I don't mind if you play it straight. I really don't. So I like Luka here at even money for that game assist leader. And I'm also taking a piece of the first quarter over. That number at minus 115 is 53.5. This is a winner in 3 out of the 4 games in this series. This total's been beating me up. We're going to talk about the side in a minute. But the total has been beating me up some. We have this full game 10.5. This series has not provided an over yet, which is remarkable to think about. And where I have been most wrong about this series, I thought that this was an over series. Now, part of why I thought that obviously flashed in Game 4 with the Mavericks getting to 122. A big reason, though, why we don't have a runaway, why the series isn't over, why the Mavericks blowout now has them as the aggregate leader in this series, is the Boston offense has just really not shown up to the party. 3-point shooting's not been great. Give the Dallas defense some credit. So at 210.5, while I'd love to bet what is, I think, now the shortest number we've seen in these finals, these teams both have found droughts that have just crushed your numbers. They just have. But despite that, we've seen hot starts. We've seen over 53.5, as I said, in 3 out of the 4, with the loser landing 53. And there's been multiple games where that total was completely carried by one side of the court. You know, there was a game where both got to 30, which was obviously monster based on expectations. But I liked starting hot here at 53.5. As far as the side goes, this number's a 7. This is a very tricky spot. the spot screams Boston, right? The Celtics lost consecutive postseason games. They have only lost 3 games total. And in the prior instances where they were following a loss, they won by double digits. They covered the number, right? So for the Celtics, and also they're coming off of their worst scoring effort all playoffs long, hitting their threes tonight at a huge clip, putting up 118 and crowning a champion tonight is absolutely on the board. But I've always thought that we could see ourselves a longer series here. Despite my full non-wavering confidence in the Celtics winning this series, I thought we could go longer. And I would look to bet the Mavericks on the spread here tonight if I were getting a real number. The Celtics have been booked so strong all year long just to get to the finals and see the shortest numbers on them throughout this postseason. This regular season number would be about 10. We're sitting at 7. So if you made me bet this, the value is on Boston. But I don't love the... I think that Dallas winning a road game is something I always had anticipated heading into this series. Boston losing a home game has been normal throughout this postseason. So if we get a Game 6, what does that mean? We'll talk about that a little bit next right here on SportsGrid.
Crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
It'll be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to par in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
All right, we're back right here, Game Time Decisions, taking a look at the big picture view of this series. And as I said, tonight I'm not on a side. We're on Luka to lead this game in assists, and we're on the first quarter over. But I will tell you this now, and I always use Joe Leafsy as kind of the bar for this, of doubling down on a bet you already have, right? And my reference usually was the Mavericks throughout their progression in the Western Conference. I had a Western Conference Mavs future. I would like them okay, I liked them against the Clippers, the Thunder, the Timberwolves. I didn't feel the need to bet them in any of those series, right? I didn't need to double down. I already had the ticket I needed. I have a bet on Boston in 6 or Boston in 7. Both of those individual wagers were plus 500, so it basically works out to plus 200 that the Celtics win this series in either 6 or 7 games. If the Celtics lose here, I'm giving you a spoiler. I will be on them in Game 6. I will double down. In fact, I will give you my Game 6, if it exists, best bet right now, Celtics money line if it's even or better. If it is even or better, that will be my Game 6 best bet. While I think Dallas is capable of winning a game on the road in this series, I do not think they are capable of winning 3 consecutive against Boston. And Boston's been brilliant on the road. Now, if that ends up not true because I see something or there's an injury, okay, but I would be stunned if that's the case. I'd be stunned if that's the case. If we get to a 6th game, all of these series leader markets, though, get very interesting, right? If you look right now, all the books have taken off total points. They've left up total threes. Derek White with a sizable lead now over Luka Doncic. Derek White up by 4 on Luka. That is actually the same amount that he is up on Sam Hauser and Jason Tatum. Luka's just completely gone cold. I do think Derek White will end up winning in that market. I actually think Derek White could have a good night tonight from beyond the arc. Total assists is something we've already talked about, with Luka being the favorite. If you told the books there will be a 6th game, he would be much stronger than 155. The more time you give Luka to make the comeback, the more the books would believe in him. Then we get to total rebounds, which is a very, very important market for anyone that has been betting alongside me during this NBA Finals. And I did tweet this out already earlier today, but in case you're not on Twitter, I thought it was important to bring this up here now. I bet Derek Lively pre-series at 14-1 to lead the series in rebounds. I made that bet with an eye on hedging. I felt Derek Lively was live. I thought the 14-1 number was completely mispriced, and I thought he'd be in the mix. After Game 1 and Derek Lively not doing a lot, the books decided to post a 200-1 price on Lively. About as unjustifiable an overreaction as you could imagine. So I placed that wager. So now I'm in a much different situation than I had ever anticipated because I'm getting Lively at an unimaginable number. Well, Derek Lively is now not only in the mix for series rebound leader, he is the clear rebound leader in this series and a basic runaway favorite. Minus 390 on DraftKings. I'm using DraftKings here because all of my Lively series rebound leader bets have been placed here, and it's the book that is actually pricing him as the strongest favorite. Lively is up 5 rebounds on Luka, 6 rebounds on Tatum, and then you see he's up 11 on Drew Holiday and 12 on PJ Washington. Nobody else is currently with a price in the market. PJ's postseason rebound high is 12. Drew's is 11. That means that they could tie Lively if they hit their high and Derek Lively grabs 0 rebounds tonight. They're out of it. I don't believe that. Oh, and they'd have to still catch Tatum and catch Luka Doncic. Those prices are not worth it. And if anything, I would just say the fact that it is a 100-1 number on Drew Holiday goes to show how much of a miscalculation it was when they did post that 200-1 on Derek Lively. Now, I thought, and I was saying this kind of jokingly, that I actually wasn't going to hedge on Lively. Because what's happened with Derek Lively is something that I was hoping could be the case, which is his usage jump up a ton, meaning his minutes jump up a ton. He played 30 minutes in Game 3 and was a very quick substitution in Game number 4. He only played 22 minutes, but that was actually more minutes than either of the first 2 games, and it would have been a lot more if it wasn't a gazillion-point blowout. So I actually thought to myself, I'm not going to hedge. He's going to lead the series in rebounds, and this is going to be an incredible hit. As I dove into my Game 5 research, both Luka and Tatum are in huge rebounding bounce-back spots. Monstrous ones. Tatum, for the first time all postseason with less than 6 rebounds, it was coming off of a 6-rebound game. He is in line for double-digit boards. I would bet his over 9.5 straight if I wasn't already so involved with everything involving rebounds in this series. It is a huge JT board bounce-back spot. And the last time we saw Tatum go consecutive games without double-digit boards was actually round 1 of last year's playoffs against Atlanta. He got to 14. Tatum has a ceiling rebound game in him. Luka is here now without back-to-back games of double-digit boards, which has been a rarity for him. And the last time, so Luka had 6 rebounds and followed up with 5. The prior time that Luka Doncic had a single-digit rebounding game was against Minnesota with 7. The next game he had 15. I know Derek Lively was injured for that basketball game, but we also know Luka has a very high ceiling in these markets. And those guys are now both plus 650. Everyone's money is different. Everybody's amounts are different. But at plus 650 for Luka and Tatum, there's just far too much value in hedging that since I don't believe in PJ or Drew. And I actually think that both Luka or Tatum could hit their ceiling. And this is why I wanted to talk about this here. If this series goes 6, now you open yourselves up to what if Lively's injured again? Or what if those guys still playing basically a quarter more of basketball than Derek Lively's too much to overcome? Series rebound leader Luka and Tatum hedges are in. We'll talk baseball next.
Crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
Be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a good switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to power in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
All right, back right here, Game Time decisions. The only thing I didn't hit big picture was the Finals MVP conversation. We hit that a little over the weekend, and Coach James Young's right around the corner. We'll hit that there. The only other item I felt it is important I bring up is the U.S. Open. As someone who bet Rory, now I bet Rory heading into the weekend, not pre-tournament, and but as someone who bet Rory, obviously I was invested in it, and we had the conversation here on Sunday, and I said that I'm not hedging with Bryson because I expect Rory to win this tournament. And then the minus 400, 500 live prices on Rory suggested that that was the correct decision. And again, in that moment, I just take the bomb Bryson Price and leave it be. And look, all in all, a credit to Bryson DeChambeau for playing great golf and being in the position to capitalize on what Rory did. But that is what happened. He capitalized on what Rory did. Rory lost that tournament. I know that stuff sometimes sounds, oh, did the Mavericks lose it or did the Celtics win it? Right? I know that stuff sounds ridiculous. Rory McIlroy missed his first 2 putts all year long inside 3 feet on 2 of the final 3 holes. He shot 4 over on 4 of the final 5 holes? I mean, it was insane. Absolutely insane what Rory McIlroy did. And the lesson I feel that I have learned as somebody who has had tickets on Rory before within the last, 400 days or so, and a lesson that I'm sure plenty of other and more consistent golf bettors have learned and dealt with and adjusted to, is if I bet Rory to win a major, specifically, and he chokes it away, that's on me. In the same way that I tell everyone who wastes their money on Clippers futures that when you get to the playoffs and the guy you bet on isn't there, because he won't be, Kawhi, that's your fault. You do not get to go, oh, wait a minute, we won this series. Irrelevant. So I will say, and I don't know, maybe I don't know why it rubbed me the wrong way. I do not feel as if Bryson won that tournament. Rory lost it. But simultaneously, I am not telling you I deserved to win because I bet on Kawhi to stay healthy. When I bet on Rory McIlroy to win a major championship. Will he win another? Maybe. Will I be at the window collecting money when he does? No. We're done. Lesson learned. I learned my lesson with the Clippers the year the Bucks won the title. You know, the one that everybody says they would have won if Kawhi stayed healthy, which is completely irrelevant and has bought that team far more cachet than it should buy any team, anything, ever. I was there as well with a Clippers ticket. But I learned the lesson, and I've not spent a single dollar since on Clippers futures. Everybody else has. People have learned this Rory lesson much earlier than I have. That's on me. I mean, I'm a golf guy, but I'm not a golf guy. You get it. I won't be there at any other point until at least Rory proves that's no longer the case, which is very unlikely. Baseball board squeeze in. Don't worry, we'll make it worth your time. MLB play of the day. Bryce Harper for an RBI plus 115. Randy Vasquez, horrific against lefties. It's why we're also taking a piece of Brandon Marsh over 1.5 hits, runs, RBI at minus 105. Marlins Cardinals over the 7. Great number here. Bit of a stunning number here, quite frankly. Sonny Gray has been terrible on the road, and Braxton Garrett is just terrible, but specifically at home at a 7. Great price here to play it over. And then we take Nicky Pivetta and the Boston Red Sox money line at plus 112. Admittedly, I am worried because I tell you I get Kikuchi starts wrong all the time. So that's worrisome. And I'm worried about betting Boston off of consecutive wins against the Yankees. We talk about letdown spots in football and basketball. They could exist in baseball. And that could be one for Boston. But I thought the price was too good. Kikuchi in a bit of a blow-up spot, Nick Pivetta in a great bounce-back spot, and just comfortably the better pitcher. And quite frankly, Boston at this point in time in the year has the much better lineup. So plus 112 was good for me. Later on the baseball card tonight, look, huge totals with wind blowing out at Wrigley and wind blowing out at Coors. It's just a shame it is not a Tuesday. But we are coming right back here with Coach James Young, and we will hit it all. NBA Finals, Game 5, Celtics Mavericks, plus perhaps the most coherent conversation you will hear around the WNBA next.
crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
Be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to power in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
All right, we're back with you right here on Sports Grid. It's Game Time Decisions. We are live with you on this Monday night. The W card tonight is very light, just one game here with Minnesota and Dallas. But we did have big action happening in the WNBA over the weekend, including another matchup between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Let me get this out of the way. The foul by Angel Reese is a basketball play. Yes, it's a flagrant foul. It is nothing more than that. Anyone who is saying it is, you need to do your best to ignore. They either don't know basketball or intentionally are being ignorant on the situation. It is that simple. Now, the real story of that game is it's another win for the Indiana Fever. And I want to bring in Coach James Young to talk about that because there are some really big picture items, Coach, as it pertains to the Indiana Fever. Winners of 4 of their last 6 games. If the season ended today, they'd be in the playoffs. And the books have now have their yes playoff number at plus 102. A few games back, this was well over plus 300. Are you buying into the idea that the Fever are turning things around?
I'm buying it. A couple of things. I'm buying the fact that they've actually had time, Kate, up to practice. I think people don't realize the importance of practice. They just think you can just roll a ball out and start playing, especially when you deal with a young team and a point guard and Caitlin Clark. You got to get her acclimated with using the ball and playing with these players. Number 2, you and I have said this, and this is why you said it before the break. We're going to actually have a conversation about WNBA because you actually have 2 people that watch women's basketball and know what the hell we're talking about. Simply put, Indiana's better because Aaliyah Boston is better. That's it. End of story, end of discussion. Because our ability to finish around the basket, for Caitlin Clark or her to run a pick and roll, which is really, really good as of late. Aaliyah Boston, 3 double-doubles in her last 3 games. Now that she's starting to go offensively in the post, it opens up Caitlin Clark from 3. It opens up Mitchell. It opens up Smith. And their schedule has lightened up. So, yes, they look better. But, Kevin, I think starting this Friday, they got a big, 5 or 6 game road trip. They got to get at least 2 of them because they're going to play some heavyweights.
Yeah, I will say as well, when you look at, the Indiana Fever have the worst point differential in the WNBA. It is because they have just been destroyed in certain spots. And look, this team's had some insane schedule spots. I mean, just back-to-back in Vegas, back-to-back in New York. I will say, though, for the Fever, who are 5-10, they are 5-4 when you remove the Connecticut Sun games and New York Liberty games. They count. They're real. That's the measure of when you're playing the best teams. That also, though, of those 6 games, 4 of them were their first 4 games of the year. We've talked a lot about the Fever's schedule, but truly, I do not think you can overstate how insane of a start this team had. So I guess another way I could even describe this to people is they're 5-6 in their, if you remove the first 4 games of the run, and they lost their 5th game. And there were covers in there. So it's a team that is definitely turning it around. I will say, though, whenever I talk Fever, I am reminded that I thought it was better to play their 23-1 to win the title than the 45-1 that existed on the Minnesota Lynx. What is very interesting to me, Coach, as somebody who was high on this Lynx team preseason and bet they're over 17.5 win total, no questions about it, and you certainly bought in, I know, at minimum very early into Minnesota and talked up Nafisha Collier quite a bit. Why do you think the books have reacted so strongly? This team, again, was 45-1 to win the title. JY, it is plus 750 now, which is a massive, massive move in this market.
Well, number one first, folks, Cheryl Reeve is the best coach in the WNBA, maybe besides Becky Hammond. And she's won a multitude of titles, a multitude of different ways with the Minnesota Lynx. Number 2, Nafisha Collier, you got to remember, last year, folks, was her first year back after maternity leave. So she's starting to cook. They play such good defense. And the crazy thing is they're a good half-court team. Their most explosive scorer, K-Dub, is Diamond Miller. She hasn't even played yet this season. I don't think people realize. Diamond hasn't played yet. And Diamond's a bucket. And Diamond can get out of transition and get in passing lane. So this Minnesota team, McBride's been really good. They know how to play together. They are fundamentally sound. They're so well coached. And Kevin, they play defense. And they've had some good wins. I mean, listen, the New York Liberty right now, you could argue, even though they're not the favorite, you could argue that they are the best team in the WNBA. Well, the last loss the Liberty had is to the Lynx, and the Lynx by about 20 on the road. I mean, at home. So to me, they are that good, and they are deserving at the price they get. I just think they were undervalued, and the books have caught up because they thought about the sexiness of Seattle with Diggins Smith and Awubike playing with Jewel Lloyd. They looked at, obviously, Brittany Griner coming back and Clea Copper going to Phoenix. They kind of looked past them and started looking at some of these other teams in regards to the stars they brought in, but not about how they're going to mesh all together.
Can I ask you about Phoenix quick?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about this team heading into the year. I know BG ultimately last year got 31 games in. Obviously coming back from everything that she came back from. I didn't know what this would look like for her. Taurasi, another year on the legs. Clea Copper coming in new. Brittany Griner's played 4 games. This team is 3-4 with a win over Minnesota and Seattle, and the only loss was against Vegas. They scored 99 in the game. Maybe there's some defensive concerns, but with Brittany Griner, they look like the best offense in the W by a country mile, and we know Clea Copper's been incredible. Are you? I know it's early, but it's not with the W. I mean, this team's 7-7. Are you buying what you're seeing from Phoenix?
Yeah, actually, I think Phoenix's team total was 18.5 wins before the year, and I jumped on it. I'm like, this team's going to be a lot better than that. I think here's the thing, Caleb. When you have a 6'8" center in Brittany Griner, it just changes everything, Kevin. It makes everything easier offensively because you have to always worry about her. And there is no one in the WNBA that can guard her one-on-one in the low block. So now you turn around, and now Taurasi is older, so she can't really carry the load. That's okay. They got Kalia Copper, a.k.a. you see her, K-Dub. This girl's a walking bucket. I mean, she's a bucket getter. And now she's got that. And then the underrated signing is getting Natasha Cloud. Natasha Cloud that had a really good run with the Washington Mystics, was really big in that series versus New York last year. She's playing really well. Really quick, just so people can get it before we get the break. Nafisha Collier, over 31.5 points plus rebounds tonight. Dallas plays no defense. Nafisha gets going. Dallas, team total under 72.5. Arika Wumbuwale is out, and this is the best defensive team besides Connecticut and the Minnesota Lynx. Lastly, Minnesota Lynx minus the points. It's a big number. No Wumbuwale. Satu Sabli has not played all year. Those are two players, K-Dub, that combined for over 40 points a game last year. They're not going to be able to score tonight.
All right, so some looks there from Coach on the WNBA card. We'll come back and we'll talk some NBA Finals, get some picks from JY. Also, take a look at that Finals MVP market next right here on SportsGrid.
Crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
Be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to par in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogeys, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
We are live right here on SportsGrid. The Major League Baseball board is underway as we have a number of 6:40 first pitches. Although, why is my board saying nothing's started? Is that possible? No, that's not possible. All right, Phillies are about to come up. No juice here. Looks like in the beginning of the Marlins-Cardinals game. Also, and we'll get into this a little bit later, just a quick baseball update for people. Mookie Betts with a fractured hand was your MVP favorite in the National League. That is now Shohei Ohtani at plus 180. Mookie Betts, who was underneath 2-1, is back here at plus 3,000. It is very interesting, and we will talk later on in this show with Dave Sharapan about this move here in the NL's MVP market and perhaps where some of the value would be and what you do when a favorite like that does face an injury. We will talk college baseball with Coach, because somehow, some way, that has become what we do on this show with college baseball. Let's talk NBA Finals, though, JY, before we get to that. And before we get to tonight's game, picks-wise and everything, Finals MVP market. Minus 230 Jaylen Brown, plus 220 Jason Tatum, 14-1 Luka Doncic, and then Drew Holiday is the only other listed player at 38-1. Do you have any strong feelings on the Finals MVP status and market right now?
It's going to be Tatum. It's going to be Tatum. You know, the only reason why, you know, this is happening is because of his field goal percentage in the first two games was god-awful. I think he's shooting about 10% lower than Jaylen Brown. But his points prop tonight is higher. His rebounds prop tonight is higher. His assist prop tonight is higher. And he has a chance to pass him in scoring. Simply put, if Boston wins tonight and you get a 30-10-7 game out of Jason Tatum, I think that's enough to move him and get him the MVP. Kevin, if I'm not mistaken, I thought Jaylen Brown was about minus 270 earlier in the weekend. So it looks like he's already been shaved $50 with people coming with the money with Jason Tatum. So, and then when it regards to taking someone like Luka, listen, number one, Dallas ain't coming back. All right, now, this whole Luka thing is the fact that this would have to go 6 games, and you would literally need, like, honestly, K-Dub, back-to-back 35-point triple-doubles in Game 5 and Game 6 for Luka to turn around and take it as the Finals MVP, which hasn't happened since, namely, Jerry West, which we just lost Jerry last week. So that's the only pathway for Luka is 2 huge games, 5 and 6. Could he do it, Kevin? I think so, but I still think it's Tatum at plus 220.
I will say on the Jerry West Finals MVP losing team thing, I know I did this over the weekend. Zach Edey should have won Most Outstanding Player, and it was a complete disgrace that he did not. Connor McDavid should win the Conn Smythe. He ultimately won't. The difference, though, between those awards and the Finals MVP is the Conn Smythe is a postseason MVP. That is how it is described. And the Most Outstanding Player, even if it's not full tournament and it's just Final Four, still is more than just the singular game. And by the way, Edey was the best player in the championship game, whatever. The very, very difficult thing that Luka has to overcome is this is entirely just based on this series. And while he has still been the best player in this series, again, if nobody is willing to take the time for enough critical thinking to give Zach Edey Most Outstanding Player or Connor McDavid a Conn Smythe, and those are over the course of longer stretches, it's going to be very difficult for Luka. What I will say, though, is I think Jason Tatum is going to win Finals MVP. In no world will I double down on that. I bet it before the series, and I am not betting anything on Tatum twice. Not me personally. If you know, you know. Me and Tatum, we just don't line up when it comes to the betting board. More often than not, Tatum leaves me with a loser. It's just how it goes. And that's why we're all of a sudden sat here with Jaylen Brown at minus 230 to win Finals MVP. I do think Coach is correct, and I think a lot of people agree that if Tatum is 35, 10, and 5 tonight, I'm not sure if it matters what Jaylen Brown does. I'm not sure. I mean, if Jaylen Brown scores 40, all right, fine. But I think I'm trying to be realistic here. I don't know what the bar is, though. You know what, I'll say this, Coach, because then we're going to get to your picks in a bit, because I know you believe Dallas can win this game. So if Dallas wins this game, how do you think that impacts Tatum and Brown's pricing for Finals MVP?
I mean, I think it could make it a little bit more close and even money if Tatum outperforms Brown. I think that's where you're at. I don't think you're going to get more separation if Dallas wins tonight. I think the only thing that can happen is I think you can get closer. The question now becomes, Kevin, is how well does Luka play and how much does he shave into both of them? That's the argument you have to think about because, Kevin, in no right mind can Dallas win tonight if Luka has 25 points. I don't think Luka, Kevin, Luka needs to have a damn near triple-double for them to win. And I'm talking about a 30-point triple-double, a 35-point triple-double. He has to have a monster game for them to win. So if he has a monster game and he leads the series in scoring, he leads the series in assists, and he's up there in rebounds, and let's say if Lively just goes south tonight, if he's up there leading the series in 2 out of 3, maybe all 3 categories, Kevin, you got to start looking at this. Maybe he shaves it 8-1, 7-1. I think you can make a big move tonight with a win and a big performance.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun to again follow those markets. There is some breaking news though around some availability for the Boston Celtics heading into Game 5. I'm sure you can guess that is involving Kristaps Porzingis. We will hit that on the other side and how he possibly can shape things tonight here as the Celtics look to close things out. We'll be right back. It's Game Time Decisions.
Crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
I mean, the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to power in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
All right, back right here, Game Time Decisions. Kristaps Porzingis has been listed as available for tonight's game. My only issue with that is he was also listed as available for the last game. Now, they said he'll only be used in specific instances, and now tonight they're saying he has no minutes limit. All right, so then play him 40 minutes. I don't know. JY, none of my bets are impacted, I feel, with Kristaps being available. Maybe I'm misguided. What do you think about Kristaps playing in this game tonight?
I don't mean no damn thing. Listen, very simply put, folks, Kristaps Porzingis cannot move laterally. If he plays, I'm Jason Kidd. High pick and roll, back screen lob, go defend it. Go laterally with Luka Doncic and then turn around and sprint back, sprint back, and defend a lob to Derek Lively. Go ahead and do that. Guess what, folks? He can't. This is gamesmanship at its best. You know what? KP, we're down 3 late in the game. Go stand there in the spot because we think you can knock down the 3. It doesn't impact it at all, Kevin, in my opinion. And I think, if anything, I'm sticking to my guns. One thing I love Dallas. We talked about this earlier tonight or on the phone. Dallas team total over 102.5. I mean, simply put, Dallas scored 101.5. Dallas scored 122 points, folks. Hear me out. And Luka and Kyrie shot 1 of 14 from 3. They're not going to shoot that bad, folks. They're going to be, the leprechaun can be sitting on the hoop. They're going to make at least 2 threes between the two of them. I think they make about 5 to 6 threes between the two of them, maybe 7 threes. By the way, Kevin and I were talking about it before. Folks, I'm sure he's going to go over in the second hour. There is a beautiful market on FanDuel for 3-pointers made per team. I mean, this is great. And folks, there is some plus money lining up there. They don't think there's going to be threes. I don't know what Kevin thinks. I think there's going to be a ton of threes. Dallas team total over 101.5. PJ Washington over 11.5 points. He didn't get it last game. Folks, he had 3 fouls early in the second quarter, 4 fouls early third. They never needed him. It didn't matter. Otherwise, besides that, the 9 previous times he's gone over 11.5 points, 13 being the lowest. He's going to get some shots off tonight because of the fact that I think the lane's going to open up and then Kyrie and Luka are going to have to kick. Speaking of Kyrie, here's my one that maybe people think I'm crazy. Kyrie over 2.5 made threes at plus money. Why? Listen, sample size, not good. Shooting the ball, not good. I'm just going on my take that as a coach, they're going to be better, Luka and Kyrie from 3, and simply put, Kevin, they are going to back off of them because of no rim protection. So I will go there with plus money, Kyrie Irving to go over 2.5 made threes. And one last one, Daniel Gafford. Yes, I said it. Daniel Gafford. Folks, go shopping around. His points plus assists, or his points are 6.5. His points plus assists are 6.5. So you get free money if he gets an assist. This is a guy that's gone over this in 14 out of 15 games. He's going to get a dunk or 2. He'll get an no board, maybe knock down some free throws. Who knows? He maybe dimes someone up, gets an offensive rebound, kicks it out. Someone hits a 3. Daniel Gafford over 6.5 points plus assists tonight.
All right, little sizzle there on Daniel Gafford. I will quickly say, although I am not on the P.J. Washington prop, that one really stands out to me as a bit of an overreaction from the books. It took them a while to catch up to him in this series. They jumped that number up to 14.5 for Game 3. He landed 13. It was 13.5 for Game 4. Outlier minutes game, wide coming down to 11.5. JY, we got to squeeze it in. College baseball. What are you thinking here? Kentucky, Texas A&M. Aggies the favorite.
K-Dub, isn't it amazing how JY knows nothing about college baseball and I've been hotter than fish grease? Well, guess what,
Yeah, I'm not
folks?
sure about that.
What are you talking about? We 2-0 yesterday. What are you talking about?
We've been checking the tape. We're not so sure about that, but keep going.
Well, go Warner. Let's go to videotape. Don't say 30 in my ear. I'm not done yet. I'm saying it right now. Kentucky, as the underdog, gets it done tonight. Go Cats.
All right. I think my breakdown then will be, since JY thinks he's hot, he's due to be cold. Texas A&M is our sizzle of the night on the college baseball board. Brian Fonseca joins us next.
crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
It'll be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to power in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogeys, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
Welcome in. Game Time Decisions live on a Monday night. Game 5 NBA Finals. Big time coverage requires a big time guy. That's Brian Fonseca stopping by to talk a little Celtics Mavs. And Brian, I know that you've been kind of asking the question, you know, do we have the right set of circumstances for a 3-0 comeback? One leg down. What do you think heading into Game 5?
Somebody's going to do it at some point. I don't think it's going to be Dallas, but I mean, look, we'll see if they can at least push this to 6, because 3 times in NBA history has a team been up 3-0 in the finals and still had to play a game 6. 2 of those were before 1952. The other one was in 1996 with the Bulls and the Sonics. Michael Jordan had Sean Kemp and Gary Payton down 3-0. I think that was actually the 72 win Bulls. And then the Sonics won by 20 and then won again in Game 5. And then there was a Game 6 in which Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and everybody else put a stop to that. So with Dallas, and I heard Bill Simmons and Ryan Russillo say that this series should really be 2.5 to 1.5. I kind of agree. It doesn't feel like a 3-1. It doesn't feel like a 2-2. So I think you know, we'll see with Kristaps Porzingis, because there's some news that came out about his availability again, allegedly. But Luka Doncic, I mean, listen, I still haven't seen the Luka Doncic cursing out everybody in the crowd game. F you, F you, F you. I get 40 points tonight. I haven't seen that yet. And I haven't seen Kyrie have a great game. So we're making these excuses for Boston, being like, oh, you know, they haven't shot well. They haven't done this. They haven't done that. And it's like Dallas hasn't played that well offensively either. So somebody's got to, you know, progress here.
I want to say the 2.5 to 1.5 thing, right? And I get the premise of it. But that is why I think sometimes, you know, when you say, hey, I like Celtics in 6, Mavericks in 5, whatever, it's relevant and it's not. Because at the end of the day, the reason that this series is on the line is because Dallas couldn't get it done in Game 2, right? That's what this comes down to. That is, and Boston was, to me, always winning Game 1 and always winning a game in Dallas. True. So that meant the Mavericks had to win game 2. Boston played to a level that put it on the plate. The Mavericks offense didn't show up until the most recent game that we just saw. The question, I think, moving forward is, can the Dallas offense sustain? Because the Boston offense still hasn't shown up. Now, they only need to show up once, though, because, again, that's what happens when you lose the swing game. It is why I will say this, Brian. I think Dallas can win tonight. At no point do I think they can win this series. There is no way we get out of here with 7 games of Boston underachieving on offense for all 7 games. I do not see that as a possibility.
No, I think what you want is, unless you're a Celtics fan, you want this to be over immediately. Or if you're somebody who has a vacation plan, you want this to be over immediately. But if you're in the content space and you do what we do for a living, I hate the word content, but you know, it is what it is. You want this to be pushed to 6 because you just want people's butts to get tight. You just want there to be a little bit of nerves around like this series, and Dallas makes it very interesting if they can win this tonight. I thought the key, and this is where they lost the series, I thought Dallas makes this series winnable if they split in Boston, because I felt like they were going to split in Dallas. I felt comfortable being like, all right, Boston's going to get one of those. Dallas will get one of those. The key was split in Boston, which is to say they can win a road game. Like, they're a good road team. Luka Doncic is a very good. I don't know if in any playoff series in his career he's gone winless on the road. I don't know if that's the case, except for the Golden State one, because that was a 4-1 series. Maybe. But I think in every other playoff series he's had, he's won at least one road game, maybe even multiple, because they often play as the underdog in the series, which is why it's insane that they're in the finals this year, because they were the underdog in pretty much every series that they played. So I think here, this makes this game very interesting. And I think if Kristaps Porzingis is available, which they're saying he is again, and if he's actually going to play, I think him playing at significantly less than 100% is worse than him not being out there at all. So if he's playing, he has to be good. It's not just he can't show up and give you what OG Anunoby did in that game 7 against the Pacers.
Oh God, no.
You know, he can't show up and just go 2 for 7 and score 4 points. Like, he has to actually make an imprint on the game, especially on defense too.
I would tell people this, and it was a very, very, very defeating moment as a full LeBron guy, which means any Lakers playoffs games, my full attention. And they were playing the Suns the year after winning the title. A series, by the way, just quickly, if people want to rewrite history, they were obviously going to win if AD didn't get hurt. And AD miraculously was coming back. And Devin Booker put AD in pick and roll every single possession until AD checked out of the game. There wasn't many of them. If Kristaps steps on that court at 60%, he won't get away with it. Yeah, I mean, he won't.
Come here, Luke. Come here, KP. That's what Luke is going to be doing.
Every possession.
Come here.
He will not get away with it. I'm telling you right now. So tell me then, Brian, are there any angles that you're looking to play here in this game? Anything that you're looking for in Game 5?
I took PJ Washington over 11.5 points. My favorite prop for the game, because he hit that in games 1, 2, and 3, which were standard, pretty standard basketball games. Last time he only played 14 minutes. This is the only time he's played less than 25 minutes in the playoffs. And that's because they didn't need him to do anything else, because they just whooped on Boston for basically the entire game. So I think this is a buy low, bounce back, whatever you want to call it, spot for PJ Washington, who's been averaging 12.5 per game this series, who's been the third option definitively in the playoffs, and is going to have some decent looks, because there will be some pressure, a lot of pressure on Kyrie Irving in particular, but also some on Luka Doncic as well, who's going to have the ball for the majority of the game. And I also took Al Horford over 1.5 steals and blocks combined, because he's gotten that twice in series, and that was in the event that Kristaps Porzingis doesn't play much or whatever. But it's kind of Porzingis proof, because he did it in game 1, and then he did it in game 3, one with KP, one without. And for what it's worth, I mean, while he will be in a lot of the actions defensively, and that's part of it. Nobody probably wants to win this more than that dude. So, can he get 2 steals? Can he get 2 blocks? Can he get 1 of each? But he's been going over that regularly. I think 7 of his last 9 in playoff games.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I think Al's it's particularly interesting, right? Because there's a lot of guys who look like they're in line for some big bounce-back spots with the blowout nature of that game amplifying it. I've never seen, maybe you remember one that I don't, Brian, in any round, a team pull before the fourth quarter, which is what Boston did with about 2 minutes left in the third. So, again, you had key guys not getting anywhere near their usual reps, and Al played 23 minutes. The game before that, he played 7. He played 37. So, again, if the whole Kristaps thing is nonsense, which, as you can tell, both Brian and I think it might be, if Al plays 35 minutes, a lot of his numbers will look good. And also, yes.
To be fair, they're saying active, potentially, with no minutes restriction. I don't know if they said no minutes restriction last time. I don't remember. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. Look, if he plays,
last time,
he better be good. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I'm staying away from the money line, the spread. I may bet it live. We'll see how the game goes.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's a close.
We shall see. Brian, great as always. Adam Kaufman up next.
Crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
Be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to power in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
All right, we're live to right here. It's Game Time Decisions, and we are now joined here by Adam Kaufman. Did great work this weekend alongside Coach with betting above the rim. Timing, Adam, was, it was peculiar. They call you in after the Celtics finally gave up a game for a full weekend of finals talk. How are you?
What's really funny about that is, I got the note, hey, can you do these shows with Scotty out in Vegas for a couple of days, like weeks ago? And, as we got closer and closer and closer, Patrick, who was producing, I reached out to him. The Celtics up 3-0 in the series. And game 4, obviously, was Friday night going into the weekend. I said, man, if the Celtics complete the sweep, what do we talk about this weekend? And so from a content standpoint, it actually worked out that Boston lost. And I know some Boston fans, well, there are some out there that will admit nerves. I am not one of them. As you can see, I've gone full Sharapan today, rocking not only my Celtics support, but my NBA Jam support of the Jays, Tatum and Brown right here. I just think, it's poetic. It's nice. Now, will I be saying this in a few hours? We'll see. But it's really nice that this team has an opportunity to close this thing out at home for a litany of different reasons. It's the 16-year anniversary of the Celtics' last title in 2008. It is 617 Day, June 17th, which is the area code in Boston. I swear, people around here believe this is scripted, that it would turn out this way, especially with Kyrie Irving on the other side and everything. So I think there are a lot of people around these parts ready for a big night.
It is incredible because all of those things line up, and yet still they will not book the Celtics how they book them every single game they played prior to this series. It is unimaginable to me that the first time you could see real value on Boston spreads are the NBA Finals. That is about as backwards as you possibly could imagine something going. The 6.5s have finally been moved up to 7s, Adam, but again, I don't think there was a single regular season game, and certainly no playoff games prior to this, where Boston laid less than 7 at home, and here we are in the finals.
No, you're right. And obviously the books are anticipating a bounce back, although the reason this number hasn't really moved is because there are enough people that just aren't sure what to do with the number and whether or not they should support Luka and the Mavericks, keeping it close. And I get it. I did bet the Celtics 6.5. As you said, it's moved to 7. I bet the 6.5. In fact, I bet it at 7 before it moved to 6.5, and then I bet it again at 6.5. But I honestly don't know if that was with real conviction or if it was me just kind of being a homer and thinking, hey, the Celtics, could steamroll these guys with an opportunity to and not want to see this series go back to obviously Dallas for a game 6. Nobody wants to see that scenario. But this does speak to going into the series when there were so many people on the Maverick side and never really understood it. I think the Celtics are a dramatically better team. They have proven it time and time again, not only in this series, but throughout the year and throughout the playoffs. I was really into the correct score betting. I didn't think a sweep at that time was at all likely, nor did I see 7 as a likely scenario. So I was telling people, take advantage of a big plus money opportunity and bet the Celtics in 5, bet the Celtics in 6. Go for those correct score outcomes. If either one of them hits, obviously you profit a fair amount. Well, now it's set up to hopefully do that and cash in. But as far as tonight's game, I just really do in my heart of hearts believe that the Celtics are going to kind of wake up from whatever malaise afflicted them in Dallas in Game 4. But whereas we've seen, Kevin, in some of these games, the Celtics, not in this series, but in previous series, there's like that one no-show performance. We saw it against the Cavs. We saw it against the Pacers. And, we saw it against the Heat, obviously. And yet, I didn't view, despite the 38-point loss, I didn't view Game 4 as that. To me, they looked too tight. They almost looked like they were trying too hard to win it, to complete the sweep. I think they're going to be a little bit more relaxed tonight, and I know you were talking about this in the last segment with Brian, with Kristaps Porzingis coming back, and we'll see exactly what the workload looks like, but we do expect to see him out there on the floor as opposed to the last 2 games. I think it's going to be a big difference for this team, not only on the floor, but mentally.
Let me ask you with Kristaps quickly. If you were in charge of setting an over-under for Kristaps minutes tonight, what do you think you would make that number?
I would probably make the number 15.5, something like that. You got to consider the first 2 games of this series, he played, upwards of, I was looking at it right before we came on. I've got the tab up, 21 minutes and 23 minutes. Porzingis played in games 1 and 2 after not having played in 5 weeks, as we know, due to a leg injury. Now, obviously, this is a different injury. He's been out for the last 2 games. He was technically available for Game 4, but quote-unquote in certain situations. Well, now there's no minutes restriction, according to head coach Joe Mazzulla. There's no, again, in certain situations, he is just straight up available. And I think they have seen what, Derek Lively did to them in double-doubling the last 2 games when he was a non-factor, with Porzingis matching his minutes in games 1 and 2. No Porzingis, Lively went nuts. There's an urgency to get Porzingis back in the lineup and specifically to come off the bench to match up with Lively again in an effort to neutralize him. And I think we're going to see it, but I don't think it's going to be crazy 25 minutes. I think somewhere in the 15 to 20 range.
I think the 15.5 is a very solid number. I say this, and I promise this is not a slight to Boston. Everyone does this if they can get away with it. They have been lying about his injury all postseason long. They said he was going to play against the Pacers, and then they got a week off, and they were like, yeah, we'll see if he starts the series against Dallas. And then he couldn't crack 25 minutes. He barely played in the entire second half of game 1. Immediately gets injured again. They're like, don't worry about it. He has an injury nobody's ever heard of, but he might play in game 3. Lie. At game 4, he's totally fine, only if we need him. We're down $1 million. We don't need him. Lie. He's totally free tonight. No minutes restriction, but he's absolutely not playing more than 20 minutes. Lie. The whole thing has just been nonsense, but again, that's because you can get away with it. We're going to get a couple more props. 100%. Again, I'm not saying it's a negative thing, but it is what's happening. It absolutely is. We'll get a couple more props out of Adam, and also I want to see what he thinks about the Finals MVP market. That's next.
Crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
Be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a good switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to power in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
All right, back with you right here on SportsGrid, joined by Adam Kaufman. Adam, let's start with this, because I really want to get your perspective and a very appropriate shirt for the conversation. The Finals MVP market.
Yeah.
What are you expecting? How do you see this playing out? Are you betting it?
I'm not betting it, so I guess we'll start there. But Jaylen Brown is right now the deserving favorite. He, I understand, came off of a dud in game 4, but everybody came off a dud in game 4. I mean, you'd be filthy rich if you did nothing but bet starter unders in game 4 on both teams. So, that you sort of, statistically speaking, have to throw that game away, but it is relevant to the MVP conversation in that obviously Tatum didn't go crazy either, and you're just running out of games. The way that I look at it is there's no value in betting Jaylen Brown, and I believe that he is the favorite and is the, again, deserving favorite and should win it. But if you're looking for a path for it to be somebody else, and the only other somebody else, obviously, is Jason Tatum, short of, the Mavericks coming back and completing history and doing something that's literally never been done in the NBA, which is come back from down 0-3 and win the series, then yeah, clearly it's Luka on the other side. You want to bet on history, be my guest. But if we're being realistic and you're looking at this and saying, all right, well, the series might end tonight. So what can Tatum do tonight to leapfrog Jaylen Brown to win this award? I think it's very unlikely. I think Tatum would basically have to go nuts. You'd have to see a 40-plus point performance out of Jason Tatum and a quiet, 15-point game out of Jaylen Brown, and also, a double-double, lots of rebounds out of Tatum. Brown would have to just be, again, somewhat pedestrian tonight. Now, what I will say is, let's say the Mavericks win tonight, heaven forbid, given my shirt, but this has 2 more games and goes to a game 6. That opens up a path to where Brown is just, okay, good, not great over the next 2 games, but Tatum is great the next 2. Averages 30-plus points in games 5 and game 6, and really just evens things out, finishes the thing strong, is a big part of Boston winning the series, and not just in terms of defensive impact and getting other teammates involved, but statistically, right there for the blind user on the box score who doesn't watch the games and is just stat humping. Then I think you could look at it and say, all right, you got a case here, Jason, but I think he's just running out of time to do it. The beauty of this, though, Kevin, is that I would say he really doesn't care. They just want to win this championship. They've talked ad nauseum about individual accolades and how important those are. And, over the course of time, that conversation has gotten quieter and quieter because nationally they are viewed as failures and guys who cannot coexist and reach the promised land and NBA immortality. They want to completely wipe out that conversation. And the only way you do it is with a ring. And so that's the sole focus. Tatum doesn't care if he has 15 points if they win by 15 points, or, Brown doesn't care if he has, 3 points and Tatum has 40 if they win. Series MVP, it does not matter. Much as like ESPN wanted to tell us at the end of the Eastern Conference Finals, start the whole, is Jason Tatum happy enough for Jaylen Brown? And all of that, driving a wedge between them. Nobody cares. As far as the MVP market, though, I just don't think there's any sense in betting it right now. It's very clearly Brown.
I think that 100% their main priority is winning the title. I think Tatum absolutely would like to win Finals MVP, and he's right to, because when you're one of the 10 best players in the world, winning that award matters. And it mattered to Steph, and when he finally did it, it was a big deal, and it was. I know it was viral the other day, the video of him crying, going back to the locker room, knowing he lost the award to Durant because he played terribly. Tatum's not crying. And I think he was happy for Jaylen Brown to win Eastern Conference Finals MVP. I don't think he'll be the first person to pop the bottle if they hand it to Jaylen Brown, is all I'll say. What do you think props-wise heading into this game tonight?
So, again, backs against the wall for Luka Doncic and the Mavericks. I think you have to go over on his points prop 32.5, and I would even strongly consider going over on his first quarter points prop at 9.5. We have seen that hitting routinely. He's usually around 12 or 13 points in the opening quarter because whereas the Celtics are so deep, so talented, and different guys can lead you on a given night, the Mavericks, it starts and ends with Luka, and then there are complementary pieces around him. To that end, I would go under on Kyrie Irving's points, 23.5. I'd go over on PJ Washington, 11.5. I think we are getting a huge discount on that line just because of what we saw in Game 4. He is generally routinely passing that here in this series, so those are the places that I would look. I know it's weird. Those are all Mavericks plays.
All right, great stuff from Adam. The Kid 6 up next.
crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
I mean, the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a good switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to power in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
All right, we're back with you right here on SportsGrid. Some updates on the baseball board. Situation, I guess is probably the best way. It has not been in our favor in this Phillies game. We had a base knock from Brandon Marsh, but it did not score Nick Castellanos. And we had a base knock from Bryce Harper. So 1.5 hits, runs, RBI. Brandon Marsh is halfway home. And then we had a base knock from Bryce Harper, but nobody was on base because Kyle Schwarber hit a 2-run shot and then Trey Turner was out. So that's kind of the tricky thing. Always, if you do bet an RBI prop, run scored, or just anything in general, right? Because we're not really betting hits. Minus 240, there's no real juice on those numbers, no value on those numbers, I think is really the way to say it. But the starting point for me is always truly batting average. And, I mean, Bryce has his pop, of course, and I think he could very well still hit a home run in this game. But you are reliant, and obviously I'm explaining stuff people already understand, but you're reliant on those guys to step up. That's not been the case. But it is a 2-0 lead right now for Philly. It is scoreless currently in this game between the Cardinals and the Marlins. Now, you got a situation where there have been some base runners, but just nobody able to capitalize specifically for St. Louis. It is 3-1 Pittsburgh, so runs against Paul Skeens in that first inning there. Steer had a double that did score Jameer Candelario, but Pittsburgh gets it directly back, which if you are somebody who's rooting in this Paul Skeens Cy Young movement, which is really what we're rooting, and we did get from 200 to 1 to 120 to 1. As long as he can steady the ship now, that is all fine, because that is really the key. Now, that first inning for Skeens is about as bad as it's going to get, right? Gave up work and didn't get any strikeouts. If he can still finish this, though, with 6 Ks, right? I think you're fine with that. And 6 innings, it's just no blow-ups. Another win could be on the board. They're certainly a live favorite in this game. And then quickly, the Boston Red Sox took that early 2-0 lead in this game. Tyler O'Neill with a solo home run with also a Rafael Devers solo shot. So those guys actually went back-to-back there in that first inning against Kikuchi. Donnie Rightside, who I know I always reference, especially when it comes to Major League Baseball betting, that Boston lineup has really started to jump off of the page for Donnie. And I know last night on Sunday Night Baseball, he got involved with that team. And you got a spot where they're popping off again. Quickly here, just while we have some time before Dave Sharapan joins us with Major League Baseball and the NL MVP's moving market. Mookie Betts right now is second amongst position players in the National League in wins above replacement at 3.8. First is not Ohtani. It's actually Ketel Marte at a 4. Ohtani is second at 3.5, a 3 for Bryce Terang, and nobody else is in that 3 zone. Now, they are not going to just hand the award out solely based on wins above replacement, but part of the reason that board isn't copy-paste league MVP is there's also projecting of who can keep this up. The books don't expect Ketel Marte to be the best player in the National League. They don't expect Bryce Terang to be the best player in the National League. What I think is very interesting is Marcell Ozuna is a guy whose numbers, and I know there's been some Braves online conversations as to why is Ozuna so easily removed at times from conversations. A 322 batting average, 20 home runs, and 62 RBI right now actually sees Marcell Ozuna very legitimately in the race for a Triple Crown. He only trails in the National League Louis Arise for batting average and is the NL's leader in both RBI and home run. But Ozuna checks in with this 2.7 WAR. And what's interesting is I would typically chalk that up to, well, he's a DH. So is Ohtani. So I think that's really interesting. Now, Shohei, if you look, is starting to put some more power on the plate, batting .309 this year, 19 home runs, 46 RBI. But all of those are worse numbers than Marcell Ozuna. The WAR is the WAR. And I know people can feel as if, baseball reference, I know there's different types of WAR. I know sometimes people get frustrated with the advanced numbers. What I can tell you is year in, year out, there's a correlation to wins above replacement and who wins league MVP. Year in and year out. However, Mike Trout one year very comfortably led the American League in WAR, and it didn't matter because Miguel Cabrera had a Triple Crown. In no world is Marcell Ozuna going to have an NL Triple Crown and lose this award. It's not happening. So, we look for value. I actually think the Mookie 30 is interesting, just because we don't have it definitively down as to when or how long he'll be gone. But it's on the board that anybody in front of him could miss some time. And he's also off to a strong enough, or such a good start really as a whole of a year, right, that he can kind of make it back, right? But Ozuna at 13, while, say, Fernando Tatis, right, is plus 950. What is the argument for Fernando Tatis? I think that's probably where you start to suggest, oh, well, maybe some of it's projection because he's batting .350 in the month of June. Some of that is popularity, and that correlates to where people are putting their money. But truly, Marcell Ozuna, versus Fernando Tatis isn't really a debate. Freddie Freeman versus Ozuna, it's hard to make that argument for Freddie. I do think Marcell Ozuna, part of the argument is, well, he's not going to keep this up. Baseball every year does have outlier performances. And that is what this is for Ozuna, make no bones about it. The only other time, we've seen him bat over 300 within the last 7-8 years was the shortened season, in which he was absolutely brilliant and flirted, I do think, with a Triple Crown that year, quite actually. But at 13-1, the Marcell Ozuna number is very interesting. It is. I'm trying to get a better read. I haven't looked into betting NL MVP. Mookie had the lead. I didn't feel we were at a point where we needed to. Kind of your eyes get drawn to a market, though, sometimes with an injury like Mookie's. And as I've gone through it, I can't give you a great reason as to why Ozuna is this far back. Not the favorite? No problem. Not the favorite? No problem. The fact that there's a 1 in front of his number compared to Bryce's, despite having the same wins above replacement, it's just tough. The favorite for the awards a DH. That's interesting, man. It's very interesting. And it's something we're going to keep an eye on. Why not? While we're here, are they live moving Paul Skeens? Still 120 to 1. Come on, really? Same number as Yamamoto now. That's a big move. Big move on Yamamoto. Nevertheless, we are coming up against a break here, though. Let's double check any scores in these on these baseball boards. Nothing doing. A lot of game left, though. We hit this break. We come back. We'll talk a little bit more about the series between the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks and the potential closeout that we could see tonight for Boston here at home. Next on SportsGrid.
Crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
Be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to power in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
Back right here, a little baseball board update. Brandon Marsh hits, runs, RBIs in the door. Unfortunately, though, Kyle Schwarber grounds into a double play, which is bad timing. If he got on base, Trey Turner's up. Maybe we can get some going there for Bryce. It is what it is. It happens. Dave Shatterpan, though, was in the mix with Pirates gear on. It is a Paul Skeens day, after all. How's it going, Consig?
It's good. I got the Celtics. I got the Celtics. I had to match the Buccos green hat, but I'm all Celtics up. Boston this, old school logo this. Please, Kevin, can we just end this series today?
Why?
I just want this. It's over. That's it.
Why?
Although it'll be good for content. It'll be good for the books if we get a Dallas win tonight, because Dallas will win Game 6 and we'll have a Game 7. We'll talk about it all week. But I'm good. I'm good. Aren't you good? I'm good. This is enough.
I'm not good. No. I'm good on the hockey. I'm good on the hockey. Hockey's good.
Boston in 5.
No, we're good.
No.
Oh, Boston! Don't get me angry.
I'm not trying to get you
pretending
angry.
that they had Boston in 5 now.
Boston in 5. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Okay. No.
Don't get angry.
Look, you're gonna get me angry. You're gonna do it.
Get you angry. I mean, the Red Sox, the Yankees over the weekend. There's a lot of things happening there. You look great. You look like you were at the beach all weekend. You look. I mean, don't be angry. You look.
Yeah, we had a little time in the sun. You would think I lived out in Vegas, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, Boston is winning Game 6 if there's a Game 6.
Oh,
all right.
Love this.
So, let me ask you that. Dallas wins tonight. Let me give you a score. 113-108. Dallas wins tonight.
Over.
113-108. What's the number in Game 6?
The number's already.
Not what you would post. Not what you would post. What will it be?
It's probably. I mean, again, I would probably post pick, and I'd be good with that. But you'll see the Dallas favored number. Dallas small. Dallas 1.
Yeah.
I'd argue make Boston 1, depending on the result. You think this game goes over? We finally get an over game? Did you just throw that number out
I have the
there?
first quarter over. I am tired of Tony Bennett's Virginia Cavaliers monstarsing my NBA Finals and finding me these 7-minute scoreless droughts in every quarter. The first quarter, though, has gone over in 3 out of 4 in this series. And that is me trying to sneak it out, quite frankly. It would be very fitting if this first quarter lands like 51 and then they wake it up. But I'll say, listen, there's been spots I've been right on this series, but one thing I've been wrong about is this being an over series.
Right.
Now, Dallas didn't learn offense until Game 4. Boston still hasn't.
Nope.
I would say this. If you're going to play over, I'd play alt.
Alt over?
I wouldn't play 210.5. I'd rather play. What do you get on 220 and a hook? Let's get a look here.
Whoa!
What do you get for some alt?
Why don't you wait for the end game? We'll be on in game live.
No, why would you wait for the end game?
Then.
Why?
No.
Why? Yeah, I'd rather play.
Because if it goes
over
down, you make it a bigger number.
Yeah. No. Over 219.5 is plus 200. I'd much rather play that. I'd much rather play that than 210.5. Much rather.
Would you rather play over 206.5 though? In game?
No, because that means I want nothing to do with it.
All right.
I want nothing to do with it then when it's at 206.5. You know what I'm saying? That's no fun for me. That's no fun for me.
All right.
What's it called? The Finals MVP stuff. Have you been hearing from people? I think Tatum is actually going to take this.
Whoa!
And I don't even think the books are open to it. Think about this. They're minus 275 to win the game.
Yep.
They're minus 3,500 to win the series.
Okay.
And the favorite at JB is minus 230. They don't love Jaylen Brown. He's their favorite, but they don't love him.
No, I'm surprised actually the plus is as big as it is on Tatum, to be honest. I mean, because that's the other one, right? And so as the book, you realize, well, they only really have 2 options if the Celtics win. So why would we could have Brown minus 230 and Tatum even money. They'll still bet Tatum. That number kind of tells me they're looking for a little bit of Tatum money. So I think you're thinking right. Would you, if you think there's going to be a game 6, do you have any Luka? Do you have any Luka?
Nah. I try not to get too angry. Like if they're not gonna give it to him. They're not gonna give it to him.
Why are you angry? What's the root of this anger? I feel like
honestly, I'm angry now because I think McDavid should win the Conn Smythe, and it's getting me angry again about Zach Edey not winning Most Outstanding. If I'm honest with you, it's driving me nuts. I can't get over it. I can't get over it. They need to go back and
I lost your
retroactively
audio.
fix
I
that.
can't hear you.
Like, you know how they gave Reggie Bush the Heisman back? Like they got to go give Zach Edey the most outstanding back.
Let that
Like,
go.
they messed that up.
You got to let that
No.
go.
Why?
Just let it go. It's done.
All right. Can I tell you, I just stumbled across a random DK Specials NBA versus MLB market.
Oh, love this. What do you got? What you come
John
up
Gray
with there?
strikeouts. John Gray strikeouts against Kyrie assists. Money line.
Whoa.
Interesting. John Gray's been like working his way back from injury. He's not been doing a whole lot.
Right? Wait,
What's
what
that
is it?
about?
John K. strikeouts versus what?
Kyrie assists. Plus
they're
180 on the assists.
So they're both around what? 5.5, 4.5, 4.5, 5.5?
5.5. 5.5 is plus over for Gray, and then 4.5 for Kyrie on the assists. I think is plus as well.
If you like
Yeah,
that,
minus
at all,
108.
doesn't Kyrie have a big game?
Eh.
Eh?
How about this? Kyrie Irving for a block against Adolis Garcia for a home run. Minus 130 on the block.
On the
How many
block.
Kyrie blocks do we have?
A half.
How many
It's gotta
Kyrie
be a
blocks
half,
do you
right?
think we have in this series?
A half.
Dave's not allowed to leave. We got to do some. There's no blocks. Be right back. There's no blocks.
Crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
It'll be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a good switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to power in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogeys, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
All right, we're right back here on SportsGrid. One, forget the Maverick props against the Rangers. Two, I laugh on the way back in because I just had an update to my phone that said update on Kawhi's hair, and I crossed my wires and read it as update on KW's hair.
Oh,
I didn't know what app that was, but
wow,
it's a good app. It's a good app if you can get it. Dave, Dave, let me ask you this. Chris Stapps is back, and you were
is he
there,
all the way
actually.
back, Kevin, or is he just back in
Yeah.
the uniform again? Is he going to play or
I'll
what?
tell you, guys in a room having none of it. They're not even hanging the props. None of the props. They're not posted. Why
Can't do
bother?
it.
I think it's a great move.
Can't do it. You have to make a decision. Business first. And we would love to have more business. But do we know he's playing? If I ask you, the most unbiased man in sports media right now, and you don't know,
Thank you, sir.
Sam doesn't know in the back or Koski or whoever. Like, if we don't know,
Yeah.
we're putting it up.
Right.
I don't need that aggravation.
I asked.
Coming in 1 minute, everything goes under. There's a whole nother scandal. We don't want any scandals. Just leave it off the board.
I asked Adam Kaufman this. I'll tell you his number after you tell me yours. If you had to book his minutes tonight, they're hanging a minutes prop for Kristaps. What's the number?
I think a fair number would be 9.5. And
Ooh, big middle opportunity.
Well,
big middle opportunity.
You put more than that? I mean, I was going to say I'll go real
Not
low.
me.
I'll go if
Not
Adam
me.
wants to go low. I'll go lower.
He went 15.5.
Well,
He went
Adam,
15.5.
This is why Adam does the shows, and that's good to know, but it's lower. I don't know if he's playing,
But it's but it's under. You're saying it's under. Zeros pay out in this market. Zeros pay out. That's the thing. You ain't getting it back if he doesn't check in. That means that you made a bad number. Hey, look, that's how it goes sometimes.
It's like Price is Right. You have to bid $1. If somebody bids $1 and it goes under 1 minute, he steps on the court 30 seconds, all the unders cash. We can't put 15.5. What do we move it to if they deluge us with unders? No, can't do it.
Gotta be careful. Dave, before you get out of here,
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you my best bet of the NBA Finals tonight.
POD?
It's Bryce for an RBI. He's getting no help from the rest of the Phils. None. But he's coming up this half inning, so maybe we'll see. Maybe he goes deep.
Get it done.
But keep tabs.
Perfect.
Keep tabs. Luka to lead the series. Excuse me. I lied. Luka to lead the game in assists. Even money. Minus 180 elsewhere.
Okay.
Minus 180 elsewhere.
I like this.
I think we've got ourselves a good one here tonight. Clear bounce back spot, and then that first quarter over I mentioned. That's where the eyes are for tonight.
I like what you're doing. I really like what you're doing with that. What's the POD is the Phillies. What else did I want to ask you? You involved in the college baseball? College baseball's rad. Have you got anything working today? Can I get a sweat for you?
Listen, Coach has been putting out shady records on his college baseball picks. He claims to be red hot and likes Kentucky. So I'm thinking it's A&M all the way. That's my read.
See how you see things? Those glasses are clear, but you see things. You know what I'm saying? Give me the clear. Yeah, give me the clear. All right. I like that.
Should I do the rest of the show without him?
No.
No, I don't think so. I think my head would start to hurt, quite frankly. Quickly, before you go, look, I know you got a lot coming up. There's weather totals at Wrigley and Coors. Any thoughts? 10.5, 12.5?
Over, under. Over in Wrigley, under in Colorado. How we doing?
Can I just say, because you're such a pro and you're very smart, I didn't think you were going to specify. I thought you were going to go over and under and leave it. And just leave it. And just leave it.
That's what the guys do at the window. They do that at the window. They come up and say, give me the over, give me the under. And then you don't know which one, and then they give them the tickets. We can't do that.
I like that.
Take it home.
How about that?
I got to go do the show with Ranieri. Go Celtics.
All right. Enjoy. And go Celtics with a Pirates hat on. I don't know. This guy's lost. In this series, which is ultimately overall looking like it could be a profitable one for the people, I did have one of my more heartbreaking losses, which was the 30-30-30-30 parlay. I will not play that tonight. But anybody like a Tatum Luka 35-35 situation? Anyone? I guess we'll find out. In-game live next right here on Sports Grid.